All right. Yeah, we're gonna get right down to the. Oh my God! Holy cow! There's so much racism around us. We're swimming in
Yeah.
racism.
I'll introduce this like a Ben Shapiro bit. So let's say hypothetically that the left are now saying music is racist.
Well,
That's me
music
introducing
theory,
it as well. No, he wouldn't say music theory. He'd say music. Music is
because
racist.
he's a lying sack of
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. The left are saying all music is racist, and you need to cancel all music.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, but yeah. So I there's so much I don't know in the world, and I basically embrace the fact that I'm turning 50 by deciding I'm already 50 because I was conceived last month. So I've actually been on the planet for 50 years now. So I'm already 50. So that way, when I turn 50, it won't be a big thing. Anyway, um, where was I going with this?
Well, it's good to see you've embraced senility. That's good.
Yes, quite. No, but the basis of music theory, when people hold music theory up and talk about analyzing things in terms of music theory or how we can understand this using music theory, it sounds like an appliance, right? It just sounds like, the theory of evolution. It's value free. It's just describing what exists in the world, right? It's a theory, it's an explanation or whatever else. Oh no.
Yeah, but
Um
Christy, as with
no.
evolution, it's only a theory.
So I don't know. I mean, it's not a causal explanation, obviously. In music theory, it's a collection of like ideas that hang together. But yeah, the idea is that a theory should be something that allows you to analyze whatever comes up in the world, right, and
Mm.
give you an insight into it.
Yeah.
Well, when the theory itself is completely racist, how can you ever not basically find only one group superior?
Yes. Indeed. What's it?
It's
Which potato has taken over the stream today? You cheeky cunts. All of you. I don't even know.
ooh.
Vitalote? I don't even know what that kind of potato is. King Edward's potato, Keir's pink potato, Gunda's potato, or salad potato. Well, have fun with that, you absolute dickheads.
Baked potato saved my life. Baked potato showed me the way.
Oh, oh, fuck. What's that
Shooting
from?
stars.
Shooting Stars, of
Yeah.
course. Baked potato. Sorry. Yes. Um, Right, yeah. So I was unaware previously that the music theory was like a racist thing.
Uh-huh,
Although it
me
makes a lot
too.
of sense now because it fits in with the whole thing that the white supremacists do of lauding old dead white shit,
Mm-hmm.
like classical architecture, and all the
European culture.
yeah, all these things they think of
Mm-hmm.
as like the grand tradition of Western civilization, even though most of the people who made those things would have despised these people. I mean, literally would have despised. The ancient Greeks did not think of the whites as a good set of people. Let's say
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're not going to show you the whole video because
no.
it's like an hour long, and also you should go and watch the full thing if you haven't seen it already,
Yeah,
because
I'll,
he person should get the views and the credits and whatever
yeah,
else,
I'll put the link
they
in
did
the
the work.
chat for you.
Hmm.
There we go.
So we're going to give you like a decent chunk, right?
Yeah,
Like to give you the heart, basically, of where the racism lies.
yeah,
And you can go get the rest of the story on your own time
indeed.
because we're not here that long.
Exactly. So this is referencing a guy called Heinrich Schenker,
We're
who's the
gonna
guy
fight
who's
'em
one of
all.
the founders of
A tiny
modern
monkey
music
army
theory.
couldn't hold
Yep.
me
You're going to have to
back.
resize that. Or maybe do a mini player or something.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Shut up. What's this? Thank you, Pandanus Rex with 10 bits, and then they just put my face on oh, Karl Marx's face. Okay, I see. Anyway, yeah, thank you. So yeah, this is yeah, racialisms. Yeah.
That's right, everybody. It's time to talk about part 5-7, flat 9, sharp 9, flat 13.
Oh, hang on, it would help if I shared with you, wouldn't it, Krista?
Yeah. That would be extremely helpful. Thank you.
Shut up.
I'll just sit here and quiet
Heinrich
guess.
Schenker, I guess.
If Beethoven is our exemplar for a music composer, Schenker is our exemplar for a music theorist.
Heinrich Schenker, 1868 to 1935, arguably the most influential music theorist in American music theory.
So in the United States, if you want to get a graduate degree
Pointless
in music
cuts,
theory,
by the way.
I know.
True, but also, can I just point out that guy?
Mhm.
Is that like a kind of if Tom Morello spent too much time on a tanning bed?
He mentions that he's biracial.
No,
And
I know.
elsewhere in the video.
So is Tom Morello.
So,
I'm just saying, look.
oh, I don't know
He's,
about
he's
that.
a pruned up version of that.
Well, it certainly seems to be summer wherever it is, and I like his pride flag too.
No,
Old
I just
school
meant in
like
terms
that.
of like he looks leathery. Is the
Oh,
point I'm
okay.
making? It's not a
I-
racial comment, Kristi.
He looks
Fuck.
old. You're saying,
And
he
he's
looks
got
an
a
old Tom
hat on and
Morello.
a t-shirt. He looks like Tom Morello.
Okay,
Jesus.
that's your joke. Okay, got it. All right. So anyway, we're gonna go back. Yes, but those cuts, by the way, were pointless. He's definitely a great music theorist, but he's not great at editing. He's good at editing, but yeah. Sorry.
Shade.
In American music theory.
So in the United States, if you want to get a graduate degree in music theory, I know there are tens of you got to study the theories of Heinrich Schenker. American music theory has very deep Schenkerian roots. David Carson Berry traces the popularity of Schenker's ideas of music in America for a desire in the 1930s for more objective musical criticism, which bears more than a little similarity to pop culture think pieces which appeal to the supremacy of the rules of Western music theory today. They're both.
Also, it's interesting that it's the 1930s when they were looking for
Exactly.
objective measures.
Yes. Yes, and where they looked then for those objective measures.
Was there anything happening in 1930s Germany?
People were talking about some cultural superiority, things like that going on.
Yeah, a little bit of racism going down. Interesting.
Born from Schenkerian ideals.
He came up with ideas about how the structure of music theory plays out, from a background structure to then a middle ground structure and a foreground structure. So this background structure came in only a couple of varieties. It essentially had a motion from a tonic to a dominant to a tonic chord that could play out in 2 bars, or it could play out in 200 bars or 500 bars. In a movement by Beethoven or Mozart.
Schenkerian analysis has a unique form of musical notation that attempts to identify the deep structure of what Schenker considered the great works of tonal music, what Schenker called the ersatz, the sound of scale degree 3 resolving to scale degree 2 resolving to scale degree 1. In other words, at their fundamental level, all great works of music are 3 blind mice. This is a bit of an oversimplification, but honestly, not that much.
He had a very short list of great composers. They were, of course, all white men. They were 11, I think some people say 12 in number. All German speaking except for 2, Chopin, who was a Pole, and Domenico Scarlatti, who was Italian.
If you want to learn Schenkerian analysis,
my name is Dr. Jacob Gran.
I highly recommend Dr. Jacob Gran's videos on YouTube. They're a clear and concise introduction to a very complicated subject that might help you better understand the works of tonal composers. I 100% recommend these videos.
Some of this video did go over my head with the...
Yeah, the theory.
Yeah, because I don't get...
Yeah,
I listen to a piece of music and it either chives with me or it doesn't. I got nothing more than that.
It's got a good beat. You can dance to it or not.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anyway, but I did enjoy the bit where it was describing classical Indian music and stuff.
Yeah, that was also really fascinating. Ways of doing tonal.
Yeah, exactly. The ways of singing it and the different approaches and stuff. That was pretty dope, actually.
Really made the point that this one theory can't explain that.
Yeah.
Right. And yet we can people treat it as objective.
Well, exactly, but that's the thing. It doesn't seek to. It just seeks to put white 18th century European dominance at the heart of things.
I mean, it's a good theory for what it attempts to do, but this is selection bias. If your sample is entirely one kind of music and you say this is music theory for the world, well, no, not really. It's a really good theory for that kind of music, but other forms have other structures. Yeah.
Are great.
He drew heavily on 18th century theories of melody.
When you watch these videos, though, you start to realize that the concept of figured bass is absolutely essential in understanding Schenkerian analysis, as well as the idea of continuo. It becomes clearer why there is figured bass everywhere in all of our music theory textbooks. It's because it's all a system designed to teach Schenkerian ideas from the ground up. It's actually pretty explicit in, The preface to this book, Harmony and Voice Leading. This book reflects the theoretical and analytic approach of Heinrich Schenker. The book will provide a valuable preparation for the later study of Schenkerian analysis. The problem is that Schenker is not useful in understanding any other style of music besides Western classical music.
Can you pause it?
You can't do Schenker.
So one thing that I can maybe provide some insight, because I did take a class on music appreciation as a requirement to get my university degree, undergraduate, is that if you think about the lineage of the music, when he's talking about the continuo, the basso continuo, what that is it's the rhythmic pulse that kind of, if you think about Baroque music, there's always, you could sort of set a metronome to it. There is a running timed almost bass line. And that emerged from singing out of the churches because they were doing, a cappella songs and they all had this very steady beat. And so that, you can see how this is just completely grounded in Western Christian notions of music. So just wanted to throw that out here.
To Meshuggah, for example, or James Brown, or Anuja Kamat's music. And even within the Western canon, Schenker does not do a very good job of explaining rhythm or timbre or any other musical element. Dance, if we're going to adopt the African worldview. We've built music theory from the very ground up with the idea that the only music worth analyzing and worth having a language of analysis for is the music that this mustache liked to analyze.
No, let's not.
Language of analysis for is the music that this
Let's. Rudolf Schenker was a very, very, very bad man.
Very racist, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
with one of the greatest pieces of facial furniture I've ever seen.
Well, and if you can grow hair on your face,
yeah, I mean
you might be able to do that one day.
Very few will be able to. Like, I'm not saying white supremacy is real, obviously, but that mustache suggests that his upper lip was supreme.
Oh, by the way, Kevin, I know, never mind. I thought you were blurry, but I think it's just the quality of my stream.
Okay.
Well,
unfortunately, the quality of this stream in general is not very good, but that's a different measure.
Yeah, yes, okay. But yes, mustache, noted.
Yeah, just drink it in, people. Drink it in.
Mustache liked to analyze. And if you can't analyze music through his theories, then it isn't music. It's not worthy of your time. It's inferior. You can't do music theory to it. This is the legacy of Ben Shapiro and his
music theorist father who went to music school.
Western music theory has developed a language that attempts to show white...
That does explain a lot of why Ben Shapiro is such an insufferable cunt.
Yes. Yes. Oh, he totally dunks on Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
During this.
Culture superiority over non-white cultures under the guise of objective analysis. It's all a system designed to show white supremacy over non-white culture. And if you think that's me being hyperbolic or speculative, no, that's exactly what Schenker set out to do with his theory of music.
He said very explicitly, I think of music like I think of people. I have a unified worldview. There's a hierarchy. White people are at the top. There's a hierarchy. The foreground is at the top. Also, the 11 or 12 composers are clearly at the top. And then he always used the word genius. Genius was code for white. It was also code for German.
In his essay, Schenker the Regressive, the conductor Leon Botstein would write,
"The fact that Schenker, an observant and active member of the official religious Viennese Jewish community, adhered to these views and propagated them indicates how deep-seated was the sense of German cultural superiority within German-speaking Europe and how widely it was internalized."
So the most controversial part is not...
I mean, you definitely see the constant cultural effects of if you're a minority group and you're raised from childhood in a culture that teaches the culture you're living in is superior to you, that is a socialization process that some people will resist, but some people won't,
Well, to be fair, a lot of sort of Jewish Nazi types did exist, not on the basis that Nazis necessarily hated the Jews at that, or not, well, this is pre-Nazism, but nascent fascism within Europe.
So we're talking like what, early 1930s?
Well, early 20th century, really.
Okay.
Late 19th century, I suppose. there were a lot of people like Schenker that were a racial minority that the Nazis would come to try and exterminate, frankly, who saw themselves as German or French or English or whatever, and therefore part of the Western tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And Schenker was clearly a part of that. I'd never heard of the guys until watching this video, but he was clearly a part of that. So it's not that necessarily a socialization thing, or that clearly it is, in the sense that racism is inculcated in people in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that they saw themselves as part of that, whereas a lot of other nationalists clearly didn't. And it
Right,
didn't work
where
out-
they
it didn't-
identified, right?
Yeah, exactly, and it didn't work out well for them ultimately, albeit that Schenker died before the Nazis did the Holocaust
Yeah,
as such.
yeah.
But,
So, by the way, I see people in the chat. I think it's Michael Mistaken and somebody else talking about Gutfeld. Gutfeld's a Friday thing. Gutfeld's like end of the week bingo. It's sort of like happy hour bingo game.
Exactly, he's intellectual half day Friday.
Yeah, so I'm just here because I saw this video. I was like, Kevin, you have to watch this and I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, you want to come on? I was like, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad.
So-
I'm glad you did as well. I'm glad you linked this to me because this was really interesting.
Well, and I saw it had 1.2 million views, but I'm like, people in our chat haven't seen it. Like, I want to just signal boost this because, you know, when we hear critics of critical race theory saying, you know, systemic racism doesn't exist. This is it's not in politics or it's not in the judicial system. It's in culture. It's in the arts.
Yeah.
That is how, you know, it's like, and for a lot of this, maybe it's just me having my eyes open because it just feels like when it comes to racism, I just keep going deeper and deeper and I find it everywhere. U.S. history, you know, in the arts. I mean, not even just like in segregation and stuff, but even down into the mechanics of theory. It's just frightening.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of architecture, for instance, and that's why it was so disgusting when Trump did his thing, which was so obviously just meant as a virtue signal anyway, because it was a presidential, not edict, what do they call them?
Well, executive order? What are we talking about? For what? I don't know what you're talking about.
On classical architecture. Do you remember this? It was one of the last things he did. It was like a week before he stepped aside, was forced aside.
Well, basically, his term ended.
Yeah, his term ended.
Because it's a democracy.
Yeah, he signed an executive order on classical architecture, basically saying that no government money would be spent on modernist architecture, and that there were certain styles, including certain styles which were technically modern styles of architecture. Should we? Hang on, I'll look it up for everyone.
Honestly, like, look at the stuff that was built. A lot of government buildings were built during the 1960s, and I personally don't like that heavy concrete Soviet almost aesthetic look. But the idea that, I could talk about.
And understandably, the first response, the first thing that comes up is Biden revokes Trump's beautiful architecture.
Thanks, Biden.
Yeah. U.S. President Joe Biden has officially undone Donald Trump's executive order requiring new federal buildings to be built in the classical style. 69 days, nice, after it was signed. So it's a little bit earlier, but a couple of months before he got rid of it.
He was waiting for 69 days because he thought it would be funny.
And this, again, it's so racist in its approach to things. Or so white supremacist, anyway. The controversial order requiring all government buildings to be, quote, beautiful and ideally built in a, quote, traditional style.
Yes, equating. Again,
so
it's like genius and music. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the
white genius and white, I should say.
So that's it goes down. It goes right into the heart of all of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Into music, into architecture, into journalism, into all of this shit. It's how white supremacy sustains itself.
Yeah, and then you understand the whole Black is Beautiful movement more when you understand that, like literally being assaulted with white supremacist or as the thing, and you're not that, and therefore you can't be beautiful as a cultural message everywhere in society.
Well, that's why if you ever get a chance, you should read the Invisible Knapsack thing, the 100 ways of white supremacy thing that the right wing went mental about. I don't know if you remember that. I think probably most famously for its one of the 100 was I can get sticking plasters in my color
Yeah.
of skin thing,
Skin tone.
which is look a lot more sort of down the pecking order in terms of horrificness.
But it's another thing,
exactly,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's
But
another
exactly,
fucking thing.
there are 100 of them there, right?
Yeah.
And most of them are really horrible shit, like I can walk down the street and not fear that the police are going to just randomly fucking shoot me dead.
Yeah.
Like, there's loads of really important shit, but obviously the right wing decided to disingenuously focus on the more minor aspects of it. But there, if you go through those, some of them are really, really good in terms of opening your eyes to some of the really, really pervasive things that you don't necessarily see. Like, I mean, I can't remember if music was on there, but that sort of thing. The thing that you really look, you think, well, how can music be racist? It's music, right? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And then you look into it. Oh, that's how it can be racist. Brilliant.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
Because values are not being declared, but being used.
Indeed. Michael Mistaken with 100 bits, thank you. They say, thou shalt not build brutalism, sobs. Well, I'm not entirely sure if that's sarcastic or not, but thank you nonetheless. Yes, I do have the link to the video we're watching. I can post that for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, definitely want to signal boost this. Share it around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yourselves.
Yeah. Should we continue?
Because, by the way, the video response to this, music theory is not racist, has like 3 times as many views.
Who's that from?
You'd have to search if you want to do a quick search for it.
Will do.
I think I've got the title right.
Music theory is not racist.
It was like 3.2 million to his 1.2 or something.
Vlad Vexler.
That's it. Yeah.
Music theory is not racist. Oh God.
3.7, right?
Yeah. Oh God. In this episode, I critique wokeness. Oh, what a great start.
Yep.
Well, he looks like a cunt. Anyway, I might have to watch that later or something. Is the response by King Crocoduck? No, thankfully not. Yeah. Music is not a social construct, okay? Shut up.
Saying that Schenker praised Hitler in a letter to his pupil Felix Eberhard von Kuba in May of 1933, 4 months after Hitler ascended to the chancellery.
They're saying Hitler. But they,
Yeah.
see, the thing is, they care about not being demonetized. I don't give a fuck.
Which is why you guys need to throw money at him.
Exactly. Throw me all of your money.
Schenker said, the Jews are the greatest enemies to Germany. And he was Jewish himself. It's not that he said, even Negroes think that they can govern themselves. No, it's not that he said these horrible things that the white race must annihilate these Japanese animals because they're Japanese. No, it's not that he said all of those things. No one's going to dispute that. That's all out there.
Carl Schachter, the guy who co-wrote this harmony textbook that we keep referencing, wrote that for Schenker, both his political and musical ideas were armaments in a cultural struggle that would eventually lead to a regeneration of both music and society at large in the German-speaking world. Whew, okay.
Yeah, Nazi shit. Basic bitch Nazi shit.
Yep. Yeah, in textbooks that people are still learning in 2020.
You coming in?
I was wondering what all that cacophony was in the background. And I looked down at the screen and Kevin's disappeared.
Dickhead.
We're all on pause for a kitty. Of course, cats being cats, they're not just going to walk into the room unless, you don't want them in there, like you're taking a bath or something.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I miss being able to take a shit in peace. That was always pleasant. Where are we? Boom. Let's do this. Oh, hello. What's happening there, Rickus? He's purring.
Kitty cam. Oh, that's nice.
Look at the camera, you fucking knob. Look at the camera. Oh, look how cute he is. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
So cute.
Yes. Boom. Should we continue?
Mm-hmm.
Now things are getting serious. Music theory's intellectual framework is built on Germany's cultural struggle of the 1930s. That's
all of us. Yep.
That's good. Carl Schachter continues. Schenker believed that an aristocracy of some sort, at least in cultural matters, if not also in political structure, would promote the selection and support of gifted individuals among whom the rare genius might emerge. That he was altogether wrong in this last view, I'm not prepared to say. Wait a second. Schachter agrees with Schenker. Are music theorists... Is music theory like a...
Racist.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It is like sort of subliminal white supremacy
Yeah.
spreading throughout the culture to preserve itself.
Yeah.
The aim is to preserve it. That's what they're doing.
And many of these, it seems that many of these music theorists are in the Ben Shapiro-esque mold of being pretentious pricks who think of themselves as...
Well, not all of them, because remember the letter that was done in response had tons of letters, tons of signatures.
No, absolutely. I'm sure there are loads of really good ones, but there is a section of them that think of themselves as like the elite, which again, I would argue that Ben Shapiro is falling into the same pattern that Schenker is, as being a Jewish guy who's supporting white supremacy, even though ultimately, should it ever gain governmental power again, would be disastrous for Jewish people.
Yes, that wasn't the point I thought you were making at first, so I just was confused because I thought you were making a different point.
Well, that's the thing, Kristi. I'll throw you curveballs.
Yes.
I'm
definitely.
nothing if not a knuckle baller.
Yes.
That's a different type of pitch. Never mind.
Our roots are white supremacist.
Oh, sorry. Can you pause it? I remember what I was going to say. So I, for some reason, thought you were talking about like how white supremacy was spreading in the society and stuff. But you were talking about your thing. But what I was thinking about was more how by establishing this as an aesthetic, right? By playing Mozart to your baby in the womb, right? It's not like Mozart is the problem here. It's the cultural framework.
No, it is. Fuck Mozart.
It's basically being presented as the most superior music.
Yeah.
And all of that superior music is always associated with white, mostly German-speaking men. So what you're saying is white, mostly German-speaking men, or white men, are superior musically. Like, you just can't help it. It's just a fact now, right? Because that's what you're sort of conditioned to think. And this is, again, it's a very unconscious level of establishing an aesthetic that conforms with white supremacy. Because if someone then says it's not, you feel like, they're wrong and you're right in defending your position. Yeah. So it's really fucks with your mind. It really does.
Yes, indeed.
Oh my gosh, all kinds of subs being gifted right now.
Oh shit, yeah. Thank you to Professor Ritt for gifting 5 subbies to those people. I can't bother reading it all out. Anyway, thank you very much.
They're gonna get to 69 and stop.
Probably, but also, yeah, I will gladly. I mean, I'll deep throat you to heaven. I will suck your soul out. Okay, it's a fact.
There you go.
Policies based on that simple racist idea that whites are superior.
Dr. Ewell is not the first person to suggest that ignoring Schenker's racist ideas is not an option. Leon Botstein would also say in his essay,
Schenker's notion of superior culture as an instrument for civilizing the rest of the world, when placed in the context of such forceful prejudices and contempt, demands scrutiny.
I have taught Schenkerian analysis. I know it very well. Always got A's, always liked it, and I completely shoved it all under the carpet for my career. That was a bitter pill for me to swallow. Think of how hard it is for someone to swallow who's invested way more than I have, and there are many. The people who have devoted their careers, their energy, their toil to a field don't want to see it uprooted. They don't want to see their work undone. It's very difficult for that person to look into a mirror and say, race exists, whiteness exists, we've been rooted in pushing whiteness, and whiteness has had the leg up this whole time. And there have been other non-white groups who have been greatly disadvantaged.
Part 6 minor. No, really, music theory is really racist. I interviewed Dr. Ewell back in early July, and since that interview took place, there has been some, shall we say, music theory that has happened. After his speech at SMT, the Journal of Schenkerian Studies at the University of North Texas published 15 papers in a symposium response that Dr. Ewell was not invited to participate in. Now, some of these papers were half-assed, to say the least. One was just a short paragraph, and one was somehow published anonymously, which is strange because, just ask...
It's a published paper. The whole point of it is you put your name behind it. The idea that the editor would even allow that is Shocking.
Yeah, I cannot believe that any reputable. Did you say the University of Texas? Like, that's a proper school.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
That's not. I mean, I know it's a sub like division or whatever. It's not the university that did it, but you would think the university would step in and say, "This isn't acceptable. What the fuck are you doing? Anonymous. This is not the fucking internet."
Well, I mean, the thing is that those kind of journal editorial decisions aren't really known by the universities until they blow up afterwards. You know,
they
if there's
probably
a problem.
they probably stepped in afterwards. But yeah, it's just that's fucking madness.
It is. Yep.
A single paragraph, not good enough, clearly. Anonymous is unbelievably unacceptable.
And, you know, as someone who, I do quote Wiki because I also quote their sources. I look at their sources. But yes, I don't quote Wiki in journal articles. Like, I go to original sources.
Well, we haven't even got to that one yet. We haven't even got to it, but yes.
Yeah, so there needs to be higher standards at that, whatever that published at that place is.
Yeah,
all
that
I'm
is
saying.
unacceptable.
But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Thank you to Michael Mistaken for gifting 5 subbies. Very, very poggerific. Epic dub. Epic dub.
Vegan sausage rolls.
Epic dub.
Any teacher, if that's enough to get a passing grade on an assignment. You're going to need to write your name on it, and you're going to need to probably write more than one paragraph. Probably the worst offender in laziness, though, comes from a professor at the University of North Texas named Timothy Jackson, who quotes at length from the Wikipedia article on misogyny in rap music. For
why?
Some reason.
Fucking why?
Because we're not racist, honest. We're just, you know, intellectually dishonest motherfuckers who want to basically deflect by saying, look, this was misogynies in the rap.
Yeah. Whataboutism. Very Soviet whataboutism.
Yeah, look, just look over there. Don't think about it. No. Look over there. Look, black people are doing bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolute madness.
I guess because Dr. Ewell isn't white. Accuses Dr. Ewell of black anti-Semitism and also of not bringing blacks up to standard.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know how this guy has a job.
Yeah,
I'm honest.
that went a place, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck me. That is insane. No, 5. It has to be 10 from one person. You can't add up. You can't combine 10. That's ridiculous. Sorry.
What are you talking about?
I'm responding to Michael about the crab rave down. It's a thing. Anyway.
Oh, it's okay. People just watching and not paying it. Okay, it's on the screen, I guess. Yeah, there's the crab thing.
Anyway, so yes, so apparently black people aren't up to standard.
Up to standard?
Yeah, how is this guy still employed?
What was his name again?
Good question. Jackson? Timothy Jackson.
All right, I'll look up Timothy Jackson. See if he's still got a job.
Black anti-Semitism and also of not bringing blacks up to standard, and
also, can we just say it should be called blanty-Semitism?
Called what?
Black anti-Semitism.
Blanty-Semitism? I don't think that's not going to catch on.
It should. It's a cute name for a very uncute thing. So
I don't think it's going to catch on. Sorry.
No. Anyway. Well, thank you, Michael Mistaken, for 5 more subs. Yes, you now get a crab dance. Jesus. You're thirsty for the crab dance. You're hungry for the crab dance. I see ya. But thank you. Anyway, yes. Did you find him?
I did, but I'm having a hard time kind of like tracking down because there's actually quite a lot of people called Timothy Jackson.
Yeah,
so,
probably not. I mean, white people are not very creative, are they?
Yeah.
They need
so
to be
when
brought to standard, really.
So I went into the news because oh God, professor counters allegations of racism in court from January of this year.
Ooh, wowza.
That's from Inside Higher Ed, so they might require.
Well, while you're looking for that,
yeah,
I'll do my crab dance.
Okay.
Yeah, you look for whatever.
No, I don't want to sign up.
Stop it.
So they're kind of going over the background.
Kristi, you are talking all over this crab dance.
Oh, sorry.
Twice.
Look how far back already they've laughed again.
What's he doing?
Can I talk now?
No, it's frozen.
Oh, the crabs are frozen? You have to start it over.
Hang on, no, we're going to be frozen. I have to stay this way until it changes.
You know that you're just going infinite. Oh, you're doing that. Oh, that one. Okay.
And we're done.
Yeah, we're done. My head. Anyway. You can now talk.
All right, because everyone in the chat should remember, I can't hear anything. It just goes dead quiet, and so and then I can hear Kevin dancing.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, thank you to Tony Blakeway for resubscribing with Prime. 10 months in a row now. Awesome. And also, yeah, they that's not the kind of 10 that we're looking for though. So you don't get a crab dance. That's not how that works. But anyway, they say, damn it, work made me miss the 9-month streak. Oh, right, you missed it from last month. Well, don't worry. We had the stream baby and I aborted it. Post-birth, because that's how it works. We beat it to death with a Bible.
Kev.
What? It's a stream baby. It's not a real baby. Not a real thing, Kristi. It's a joke.
Okay.
Behave yourself. Jesus. But you should also... No, I'm only joking. Anyway, go on. What are we doing?
All right. So there's a whole drama article, but I've gotten down this far, which is the university. Oh, there was a university panel that was going to like do an investigation. And then he had some lawyers saying you shouldn't do it because academic freedom, yada, yada, yada. But they did it anyway, I guess, because it starts. The university panel issued its report in November, finding that the symposium's production did not meet the, quote, standards of best practices in scholarly publications, unquote. You think?
Yeah, just a little bit.
It continues. The panel's suggestions involve transforming the journal from a somewhat decentralized, mostly graduate student-led publication.
Oh, so shithole. Good.
Yeah, to one with a clear editorial structure, transparent editorial policies, and a faculty editor-in-chief. In other words, professional.
Yeah, because, like, graduates are mainly getting drunk and, like, stealing traffic cones and stuff.
Yes.
Not necessarily the height of intellectual discourse, necessarily.
Oh, and then there's like some drama. Jackson took this to mean that Brand was trying to block him from any future involvement in the journal, blah, blah, blah. So it's like turned into...
The cancel culture!
And so, yes, it's a drama. If you want to look it up, it's in the Inside Higher Ed. You can search it yourself. I did.
She did. We saw.
Heard more.
Well, yes. Anyway, so black people, not just that, blacks.
Yes.
Bringing blacks up to standard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so apparently the blacks are not up to standard.
Honestly.
And so they can compete. So you're saying black people cannot compete as a way of defeating the idea that you're racist against black people in music.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Interesting strategy.
It is, isn't it?
Like I often try and
I bet
win.
you didn't see that one coming, did you?
No, I did not. No, I often try and win football games by scoring 10 own goals. It works really well. It's effective.
Also patronizingly dismisses the work of black musicians.
Oh, hang on. I want to see the exact
It's up
quote
to
on that.
standard, and also patronizingly dismisses the work of black musicians.
We can certainly listen to their music with pleasure, even if they are not supreme geniuses on the level of the very greatest classical composers.
Right, because when you say that those white guys were the geniuses, then no one can ever live up to that standard because they've been dead for like 300 years or 200 years.
Exactly, yeah. It's what was the phrase they called it? Something like the immortalization of opinion or something. Basically the idea that once you've set that standard, that like Vincent van Gogh and Mozart and all these people who are undoubtedly very good in their fields, what are the standard? No one can ever reach that.
Yeah.
Like, because I would say, for instance, Dr. Dre was a fucking genius. You can only produce that many hit albums if you're very, very good at what you do.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way around that. You may not like his music, and that's fine. I don't give a fuck. I don't particularly like Mozart. It's not a problem. I don't hate him or anything. Classical music doesn't do it for me. The point being that you can listen to their music with pleasure, but they're not geniuses. Like the blacks, they can try and do the music, but it's not the same, is it? It's not, for fuck's sake. You racist shitbags.
Yeah, continue on, by the way. Read the...
Yeah.
the fucking way that he tries to turn it around.
One of the cruelest things in Ewell's agenda is his concomitant, which is a nice word, dismissal of the works of black classical composers as irrelevant. Now, I do not think that that's what Ewell was saying.
No, I'm confident it wasn't.
Pretty much.
So basically, what you should do is, try to encourage black composers to sound more like these dead European white guys and praise them. Basically, get on board with our agenda. Because if you don't, that's racist.
Yeah, we're not racist. We want black people in music. You've just got to train them to be more like white people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it said every white supremacist ever.
Well, no, most of it. To be fair, the joke I was doing there was that the white supremacists of yore were just like, no, black people aren't humans. They're not. They can't be allowed to be in music. They can't be allowed to be here in this place.
Right.
We need to kill them all. Whereas these ones are like, we're not racist. We perfectly accept that black people should be allowed to do music, but they just have to do it right, like we want it to be.
Yeah, it's basically cultural annihilation of everything but whiteness. That was what I was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just a slightly different version of cultural genocide.
Yes, exactly.
It's cultural genocide rather than literal genocide.
It's like a soft, creeping genocide.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We can listen to their music with pleasure, even if they aren't the supreme geniuses on the level of the greatest classical composers.
I shouldn't say a literal genocide, but a cultural genocide. It's the erasure of anything but white culture.
Well, I would argue cultural genocide is a form of genocide. If you remove, like, for instance, the residential schools obviously in Canada had a notable story in recent times of literal murder, of course, and the mass graves that were found at one of those places. But for the most part, they weren't about direct murder. They were about cultural assimilation.
Yeah, so in that way, I mean, I want to distinguish between the eradication of actual people and the eradication of their culture.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That's what I said by cultural genocide, not like the legal definition of genocide.
Like, for instance, if all black people were like Thomas Sowell, would black people even really exist anymore? Like, literally, black skin would exist, but black culture wouldn't be a thing anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
As a people.
Yeah.
Yes. Not individuals, but as a collective cultural, heritage.
Yeah.
Hinge racist tirade, but
because I was actually reading about Thomas Sowell, because he's old enough to have existed as an adult pre-civil rights, and he argued that black people were not put upon in Jim Crow. What now? What? Yeah. That's where I'm coming from with that. Anyway.
Yeah.
Importantly, this guy quoted from Wikipedia, like at length. I don't even do that, and I make YouTube videos. Seriously, check the sources in the link in the description. There are a lot of them, and none of them are Wikipedia. Like, not to belabor this point, but can you imagine citing Wikipedia in a term paper or a thesis or dissertation? Like, does your teacher let you do that? Like, no, you don't.
Can you
don't
pause
do
it?
That, dude.
The one thing I would say is I do link Wiki underneath if it's a good article because I've read it, I'm referencing it, because a lot of these academic pieces are behind paywalls.
Right.
And so you just can't get access to the full papers in a lot of instances unless you're already at university. So that was just in defense for providing, not any old wiki, but one that you've checked out and you've looked at the sources. It's a good free available, resource when they do it well.
Why the hell would we take you seriously? People were pissed and signed a letter that Timothy Jackson should probably be held to the same level of...
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Not necessarily even everyone on this list necessarily agrees with the original idea. It's that if you're going to criticize it, do it properly. Otherwise, this is really, really bad. Well, this is poor quality intellectualism.
It's like we're trying to be TED Talks and you're being Jerry Springer.
Yes.
Okay, and these don't match.
Also,
you need to come up, raise your standards.
What a name. Kia Gugwilt from UC San Diego. Nice. Sorry, anyway.
Is that Welsh?
Gugwilt. I don't know. I've never seen... It's odd to see two capitals in one name.
Yeah, but Keir is a quite...
Well, Keir's Scottish.
Yeah, okay. So maybe it's, some kind of with Gaelic.
But Probably honky. Is what we're thinking.
Probably, yes.
That's what we're thinking there. Yeah.
Probably
confidence
most of these
that
people.
high schoolers are, and also maybe not be such a racist douchebag personally.
I'm going to have to look up Kierkegaard Gwilt now because I'm interested. Sorry.
Yes, the name just pulled you in.
White as fuck. There he is. Violinist chap.
Oh, he looks
Cool.
nice.
Anyway, he works at UC San Diego, so there we go. Anyway.
To Dr. Ewell. And for some reason, Fox News decided that this would be part of the culture war.
Yep, there we go. Music faculty
Of
at
course.
Texas College stokes ire for suggesting music theory isn't white supremacist. No, it wasn't. It wasn't the idea that it's not white supremacist, because you can agree or disagree with an idea. It's the if you cite Wiki and you have one article which is a single paragraph, you have one that's anonymous, could have been written by a fucking bot. Who knows?
Right. Well, but the content of the article was basically replying to the person Ewell's letter criticizing the whiteness whole thing and genius and whiteness being equal.
Yeah.
So the thing is, he's not suggesting music theory isn't white supremacist. He was defending the white supremacist values built into music theory.
Yeah.
That's what it should have read.
Basically, yeah. But like I said, that's why I did the kind of joke intro of pretending to how Ben Shapiro would introduce this. They're saying, now they're saying, the leftists, the cultural Marxisms are saying that the music is racist. Oh, they're crazy, aren't they? Oh, give me money. That's Ben Shapiro. I did a Ben Shapiro.
Yes, you did.
Anyway.
All right.
For now, as well as the National Review, who described Timothy Jackson.
Wet ass pianist?
That works.
His paper as
serious critique of that scholar's work based on archival research within his highly specialized field and after lifelong study of Schenker specifically and music theory more generally.
Again.
The National Review called a paragraph.
The very first thing that you see when you type in, is Wikipedia a reliable source, is Wikipedia telling you that it is not a reliable source. Man, Timothy Jackson, you're just killing it, dude. Just killing it.
I heard the quote where blacks have to, you got to raise blacks up to standards so they can compete, which I'm like, oh my God. You couldn't even say that in like 1970.
So the unfortunate side effect of the cartoonish levels of racism coming out of the University of North Texas this month is that this whole thing has turned into a referendum on Heinrich Schenker, who won.
Oh, North Texas. Okay, different one.
Yes, North Texas.
One, you probably just heard of today, and two, was just some racist anti-Semitic guy living in Europe at the turn of the 20th century, and let's be honest, he was not unique in that regard. The fact that Fox News desperately wants to turn this into cancel culture run amok is just stupid.
But that's perfect for Fox, because they get to actually defend like weird Nazi,
white supremacy,
Nazi bullshit from a weird Nazi bullshitter.
Yep. Yeah, that
is
their bread and butter.
Of culture war, cancel culture nonsense.
Phil wants to, quote unquote, cancel Schenker. I don't, never said it, kind of said exactly the opposite at the end of my long article. Phil wants us to throw away Schubert and never play Schubert anymore. Nope, never said it, wouldn't say it. Schubert was a very interesting composer. I like quite a bit of his music. It's not about canceling anybody. It's about addressing difficult issues directly.
True. Very true.
Forthrightly. We're going to talk about it openly. We're going to talk about white supremacy, the roots in white supremacy. I mean, that's a statement of fact. It's not under question.
Yeah.
Music theory is historically rooted in white supremacy. The music theorists said it themselves in the 19th century, quite openly. It wasn't a secret. It only became a secret when white supremacy became untenable in the mid-20th century. You couldn't be white supremacist anymore. It had to
overtly.
Go underground.
Part 7 diminished.
Pause.
Coda.
I think then he wraps it up.
Yeah.
I would slightly disagree, because I think they were wearing their white supremacy on their arms, openly. I think it was what was said earlier about establishing a cultural norm of white supremacy and pushing it outside of actually saying it and just having it embedded in the culture.
Yeah.
White beauty standards, Western.
True, but when I say when I say overtly, I don't mean that they can't be white supremacists at all. I mean, like,
No, I was actually taking issue with Ewell's
okay.
last comment, not yours. When you said it wasn't acceptable to be white supremacists, I think it was closer to say that they were trying to win a culture war, just like, we see today.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, he did say going underground, so I think it's implied that he means,
Yeah, I guess I wanted to clarify what I thought was a better representation of that. Like by basically embedding it in the culture, actively.
Once you've seen the inevitable
formalizing
results of that kind of overt racism in the death camps of Central Europe, it's a lot more difficult to be like, oh, we need to continue doing that. Let's do that here. No, let's not fucking do that here. So now they have to go to more creative ways of describing these things and implementing these policies.
Yeah. And for me, Baroque is my favorite period, but I like the Gregorian chant, and I like classical too. When we start to get into the Romantic period, it's fine, but it's not my jam. I like the Basta Continuo.
Would you describe yourself as a Baroque-ass bitch?
Yes, I am. And so learning this it's changed my understanding, not of the music, because again, these composers were picked by Nazis or people who are sympathetic to German supremacy. But it makes me makes me aware now. If someone tries to talk about music theory, I will correct them and say, oh, you mean 18th century German music theory, because it isn't everybody's music theory. It's one specific culture and one specific time point, and that's fine. But we have to take it off the pedestal, and we have to make more room for other art, acknowledging the genius of other theories of music and other forms of music. And that's what I guess I want everybody else to take away. It's not like you have to feel guilty listening to Bach, but it might be an interesting conversation to have with somebody, maybe not on Twitter, but maybe in your life. Because this isn't a really threatening thing. You can just tell the story of Schenker and this cult, whatever, how you want to present it. But I feel like this is what we need to do to dismantle white supremacy as white people, is when we know this shit, share it. And that's why I wanted to do it on the happy hour, because, you guys are amenable to it. And you'll probably also, I think people who hadn't heard it before will remember this, and you might bring it up and somebody else might learn too. And that's how we dismantle it from within.
Good point. There's the link to the video in the chat. Share it around. Go and watch it. I'll give it a thumbs up. There we go. Yes. Yeah, and you're going about fascist leaders picking these composers. Obviously, famously, Richard Wagner was Hitler's composer, so to speak. Albeit obviously lived before Hitler. Well, actually, they might have overlapped slightly, but they never knew each other, obviously. Not just because of his music, but because obviously he was enormously anti-Semitic. And when I say he, I mean both of them. Yeah, Wagner literally wrote about how Jewish composers were inferior to German ones. Forgetting, of course, or not forgetting, but knowing full well and denying that there were lots of German Jewish composers. Like Schenker, for instance. Ironically. But there we go. Yeah. Music as a tool of white supremacy.
Yeah. That's the lesson.
We do some high culture as well.
Thus endeth the lesson.
Indeed.